Do your notes shapeshift? When you hold a note while changing chords, does that note transform from a colorful part of the first chord to a colorful part of the next chord? Let's shapeshift between two chords by taking a ride in the Vertical Harmonic Elevator. We need at least two chords so that we can have a note shapeshift between them. Let's use C as the root of our first chord. And for our second chord, we're not going to think about key, scale, or anything like that. Instead, we will simply move by some amount of semitones, any amount of semitones. How does two semitones sound? Let's move by two semitones. If we start on C, we actually have two options. We can move up by two semitones, and we can move down by two semitones. Either direction works great, but I'm feeling like moving downward, so we'll move to B flat and use that as the root of our second chord. These two notes could be the root of any type of chord, but we are going to use the chord type that is perhaps most at home in modern styles, the minor 11 chord. Now we've got a chord progression, C minor 11 to B flat minor 11, but we need to build it. To build C minor 11, we'll take the notes of the C minor scale. We'll start on C and skip a note until we reach the 11th note. When we think of these notes horizontally, they exist in the domain of melody, where one note is played at a time, in a linear sequence. But if we remove the in-between notes and arrange them vertically, we now have a chord, each note playing at the same time. Our notes are no longer in the horizontal domain of melody. They are now in the vertical domain of harmony, where each note is a floor on our vertical harmonic elevator. The higher the floor, the more colorful the note. Since we are using minor 11 chords, the 11th floor is the most colorful. So for C minor 11, F is the most colorful note. The first floor is the least colorful. For C minor 11, C is the least colorful note. But the shapeshifting happens between the chords. So we need our second chord. We will build B flat minor 11 the same way we built C minor 11. The only difference is we will use the notes of the B flat minor scale. We'll start on B flat and skip a note until we reach 11. Let's turn this horizontal landscape of B flat minor 11 into a skyscraper by making it vertical. Now, we've got our two chords, and we have our vertical harmonic elevator that can take us from the bottom floor, the least colorful note, to the top floor, the most colorful note. But we still need one more part of the puzzle. If we want a note to shapeshift between the chords, we need to use a note that exists in both chords, a common tone. But there is nothing common or plain about common tones. Common tones can be some of the most vivid because they are the notes that can shapeshift. To find out which notes are the common tones between our chords, let's flip back to the horizontal realm. C is part of C minor 11 and is also part of B flat minor 11. C is our first common tone. E flat is part of C minor 11 and also part of B flat minor 11. E flat is our second common tone. G is part of C minor 11, but is nowhere to be found in B flat minor 11. G is not a common tone. B flat is a part of C minor 11 and is also a part of B flat minor 11. B flat is our third common tone. D is part of C minor 11, but nowhere to be found in B flat minor 11. D is not a common tone. And F is a part of C minor 11 and also a part of B flat minor 11. F is our fourth common tone. There are four notes that our chords share. We have four common tones, which means that we have four notes that have the ability to shapeshift. So how do we know which note will maintain the most color as it transforms from C minor 11 to B flat minor 11? To find out, we'll need to take some rides on the vertical harmonic elevator. We want to discover which of our four common tones maintains the highest position on our two skyscrapers, which note stays on the highest floor over the whole chord progression. C is our first common tone. C is floor 1 of C minor 11. This is the least colorful floor. Not a great option for C minor 11. But C is the 9th floor of B flat minor 11. This is the second highest floor, which is a great option. If we hold C over our two chords, it shapeshifts from the 1 to the 9. This is a big shift from no color, the 1, to quite a lot of color, the 9. Let's see if our other common tones maintain higher positions on our vertical harmonic elevator. E flat is our next common tone. E flat is floor 3 of C minor 11, the second lowest floor, not very colorful. But E flat is the top floor of B flat minor 11. This is maximum color, the best option. If we hold E flat over our two chords, it shapeshifts from the 3 to the 11. E flat is more colorful than C. C transforms from 1 to 9, while E flat transforms from 3 to 11. E flat maintains a position one floor higher over both chords. So far, E flat is our most vivid shapeshifter. Our next common tone is B flat. B flat is floor 7 of C minor 11. Now we are finally getting some color over C minor 11. But B flat is the bottom floor of B flat minor 11, the least colorful floor. B flat shapeshifts from 7 to 1. E flat shapeshifts from 3 to 11, and C shapeshifts from 1 to 9. B flat maintains a lower overall position than E flat and C. So far, B flat is our least vivid shapeshifter. We've got one more common tone to check out. F is the 11th floor of C minor 11, the top floor, maximum color. Over B flat minor 11, F is the 5th floor. If we hold F over our two chords, it shapeshifts from 11 to 5. This is higher than E flat, C, and B flat. F maintains the highest overall position. F is our most colorful shapeshifter. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't use our other shapeshifting notes. The vertical harmonic elevator doesn't tell us which notes to use. It just gives us a way to evaluate the color of each note across multiple chords and track when and where that color is being added, taken away, or maintained. Now that we have our most colorful shapeshifter, let's create some music that uses F as the focal point. Let's put our chords on the piano roll. Each chord will last for 1 bar. Right now, we are looking at the blueprint version of each chord, each floor stacked in order. We can bring our own taste and individuality to the chords by creating our own voicings. Voicings are specific and unique arrangements of the notes of a chord, and are made by repositioning, rearranging, and even duplicating the notes of a chord. This is where we take the blueprint and turn it into a real structure with our own design sensibility. Thanks to the vertical harmonic elevator, when we go to create our voicings, we have crystal clarity about what we want to accomplish. Create balanced voicings that highlight our most colorful shapeshifter, F. So how can we highlight F? There are many ways. But a surefire way to make a note the focal point of a chord voicing is to make that note the top note, the highest note of the voicing. For C minor 11, the top note is already our desired shapeshifter, F. But with B flat minor 11 in its blueprint configuration, F is buried deep within the chord. To make F the top note, the fix is simple. Move F up an octave. And just like that, our shapeshifter, F, coasts over top of both chords, starting its journey as an 11 and transforming into a 5. But the voicings are a bit awkward right now. This is where we enter into the realm of voicing design. There's no single way to approach this. Every instrument, style, era, or context may ask a voicing for something different. But I am responding to the way that in our B flat minor 11 voicing, F has E flat right on its tail, right below. E flat is our second most colorful shapeshifter. I like the idea of having E flat right underneath F, as though they are gaining on each other in the pursuit of color. But in our C minor 11 voicing, E flat is down here, an octave lower, which doesn't reinforce the feeling and image of these two vivid shapeshifters closing in on each other. But we are free to reposition notes, so let's move E flat up an octave. Now, in our C minor 11 voicing and our B flat minor 11 voicing, E flat and F are the top two notes, coasting, unbothered by the chord change happening underneath. But that is not the only thing we have gained by moving E flat up an octave. Now, our C minor 11 voicing has three notes right next to one another, D, E flat, and F, the 9th, minor 3rd, and 11th of the chord. When neighboring notes are played together, it is often called a cluster, and it creates a blurry watercolor texture. Now, it's jumping out to me that our B flat minor 11 voicing is a bit bottom heavy. Our C minor 11 voicing has a nice gap between C and G. I would like to make the two voicings more symmetrical by having a similar gap between the bottom two notes of B flat minor 11. The note preventing this is D flat. But the solution is simple. Let's move D flat up an octave. This is great because not only do we now have a similar gap in the bottom two notes of each voicing, but in our B flat minor 11 voicing, we now have a cluster. The top four notes are all neighbors: C, D flat, E flat, and F, the 9th, minor 3rd, 11th, and 5th. This mirrors the cluster in C minor 11, adding to the symmetry between the two voicings. But it also adds a layer of internal balance to the harmony. Our C minor 11 voicing has a 3-note cluster, and our B flat minor 11 voicing has a 4-note cluster. Generally, the more notes in a cluster, the more energy or tension is created in the voicing, like atoms bouncing off of each other. When we move from C minor 11 to B flat minor 11, the cluster increases from a 3-note cluster in C minor 11 to a 4-note cluster in B flat minor 11, resulting in an increase in tension, intensity, energy. This is perfectly balanced with the transformation of our shapeshifter note, F, which starts as a very colorful 11 in C minor 11, but then becomes a substantially less colorful 5 in B flat minor 11. As our shapeshifter decreases in color, our cluster increases in energy. The shapeshifter note and the clusters are subtly balancing each other out, making up for each other, as we move from one voicing to the next. Right now, our voicings are still photographs. Let's turn them into moving images by giving them rhythm. It doesn't take a lot to get things moving. First, let's remove the root notes of the chords. We are going to give those to our bass player. Now, let's introduce a touch of syncopation, the emphasis of the in-between rhythms. Let's shift B flat minor 11 so that it happens an 8th note earlier, in between beats 4 and 1. Let's bring our shapeshifter to the foreground by repeating F twice over each chord. Over C minor 11, we'll repeat it on beat 3 and on the 16th note before beat 4. The first one will be long and the second short. We'll repeat the entire chord along with the second short repetition of F. This difference in the way that notes are played is one of many vectors under the umbrella of articulation. Over B flat minor 11, we'll repeat F on the 8th note after beat 3 and on the 16th note after beat 4. This time, we'll flip the articulation of these two repeated F notes. The first will be short, and the second will be long. We've used 2 of our 4 possible common tones. F, our most colorful shapeshifter, and E flat, our second most colorful shapeshifter, are the top 2 notes of both voicings. But let's not leave the other 2 shapeshifters on the table. We'll use B flat and C to add a secondary layer to our repeated F notes. Over B flat minor 11, we'll add B flat on top of the first repetition of F, and C over the second repetition of F. If we double our canvas size by making this 2-bar idea a 4-bar idea, and then copy our voicings from bars 1 and 2 to bars 3 and 4, we now have an opportunity to create a variation. Our ears are high-level pattern detectors. When we hear an exact repetition, an exact copy of something, our ears tend to consider the puzzle solved and we disengage. In music, this means we stop paying attention or lose interest. But even the smallest change to the repetition disrupts the pattern. Our ears detect that there is more of the puzzle to solve, and our connection to what we are hearing is renewed for another cycle. Let's disrupt the pattern and break our exact repetition by switching the order of B flat and C in bars 3 and 4. We'll switch the order so that C comes first and then B flat. Such a tiny change. But now we are not repeating the same phrase twice. We are saying one complete phrase that is twice as long. It is no longer a repeated 2-bar idea. It is a 4-bar idea that needs to be heard in its entirety before the complete message can be fully revealed. Let's do this one more time. We'll double our canvas from 4 bars to 8 bars and copy our idea from bars 1 through 4 to bars 5 through 8. And now, somewhere in bars 5 through 8, we'll make a small but meaningful change, an addition or subtraction. Let's embellish the last 2 bars, bars 7 and 8, by turning the final repetitions of F into a melodic cascade that makes use of all of our common tones. We'll start on F, skip up to B flat, step up to C, skip up to F, and finally step down to E flat. Let's repeat these same notes in the gaps to give it more of a melodic character. This melodic shape is now suggesting a shift to the rhythm of the chords happening underneath. Instead of B flat minor 11 happening on the 8th note of beat 4, C minor 11 will carry through and play on beat 1, where it will then be followed by B flat minor 11 on the 16th note before beat 2. This rhythm organically supports the melodic line we've added while introducing an unexpected rhythm, which throws a curveball to the listener's ear and will likely keep them connected and engaged for another cycle. This melodic embellishment is a question that needs an answer. We'll add a melodic fragment at the very end that answers the melodic question and turns us back around to the beginning. Let's make use of the notes of B flat minor 11. The chord occurring at this point in the progression. D flat, the 3rd, C, the 9th, A flat, the 7th, and B flat, the root. Then we'll drop back down to F, where the idea begins again. Now that you know how to make a note shapeshift, pick your own chords and try it out. See how vivid you can get? If you want a full toolkit that gives you instant access to these kinds of chords, drum patterns, bass lines, and melodies, then check out Vible Volume 1. And if you want to learn how to bring these kinds of ideas and approaches into your music, then check out my courses. You'll find all the links below. Until next time, farewell.